to talk about school selection. How many of you already know what schools you're applying to? Laura, how many schools are you applying to?
15.
Awesome. Can't remember your name, sorry.
Rachel.
Rachel, how many schools are you applying to? 9. Okay. All right. So, how many, I mean, like this may be like, I already know all this, maybe. That's okay. I'm trying to get anyway. In finding your information about schools, really, honestly, the best place to go is to the institution's website. Okay? Go to their website, look through it. If you've got questions, call them. Request information through mail. Get your information about those schools. But, like we kind of talked about yesterday, to go to their open houses. All schools have open houses. They do, if you're they do dental simulation days. Go and visit the school, see what it's like, take a campus tour. I know that's not necessarily feasible for those of you that, you know, have back east schools or even, you know, Northwest. That's not necessarily feasible, but you're going to get a really good idea of what that school looks like if you're actually on the campus, as far as how they teach. You know, you get the opportunity to ask a lot of questions about that. We've talked about really looking at the mission of the school, and we'll kind of talk about that a little bit in a minute. But utilize where RHS students have been accepted. Let me pull that list up. Sorry, I thought I already had it pulled up. Just thinking about it. All right, so Rita updated this yesterday. Can you see that? And this is in the drive. So if you have access to the drive, you'll have access to this. So, MD schools. There are, scroll down a little, 36, 35, no, we're down further than that, 30 different med schools that SUU has gotten a student into since, what you say at the top, 1999. From 1999 until this year, she updated with this past, those that are matriculating this year. 30 different medical schools. So you know there's somebody there that's been from SUU, gone to those schools. So these might be, if you're unsure of schools, I don't really know where I want to go, you might want to take the time to look into some of these schools. If you want to know who that alum is that went to that school, contact Rita, she can tell you. I'm not sure, I'm sure we have a list at some point, I mean, you know, somewhere, but I know Rita will probably just pop off. That's Rita's memory. She's really good at it. So, scroll back up here so you can see. So, we don't have PT on here, but we can get you a list. Dental. Take advantage of the schools that have come to visit here. They're aware of our students. For example, Louisville. Up to our conference, the WAHP conference that we just went to a couple of weeks ago, we met one of the admissions people, and she was really funny. She was really sweet. She sat at our table, and as soon as we told her, or as soon as I told her where I was from, she was like, "Oh, I love your students. Your students are great." And she rattled off 3 names of students from SUU that she remembered interviewing and that she knew were in their program or had been in their program. "Oh yeah, so-and-so, yeah, he's going into orthodontics, like he's in that at that point now, kind of thing. And I said, well, you know, you need to come visit the school, kind of thing. I'd love to come visit the school next time I'm here, you know, in Utah. So we do our best to try and get these schools to come and connect, but Louisville loves our students. Why wouldn't you apply there? Okay, so kind of look into those kind of things. They do know who we are, for the most part. All right.
If you scroll down, I think it shows PA.
Oh, there you go. Look right there. PA, pharmacy, PT, Optom. There you go.
Oh, that's someone into Duke.
We have gotten someone into Duke.
Which is, I think it's one of the highest rated PA programs in the country.
And OT.
What? We got someone into Yale. Look at that.
Casey's super impressed.
What is that? I want to know.
I don't know, but I know the Duke one was, I think, last
Yeah, it was
year.
last year because that was when we found. Yep.
Yeah, so who was it yesterday was telling me they wanted to apply for Duke? But it wasn't it you, Jess? Did you say you were going to apply to Duke? Who did? You. You did. So we've gotten in the PA program. Have we gotten in
So PT.
PT? No. I'm like, somebody told me they wanted to go to Duke. All right. Anyway. Okay. Enough with this. You can look at that later. So, talk to alumni. Like I said, Reed is more than happy to get you in contact with these students. And just like you would be, they're more than happy to talk to you. They've made this journey. They might be in the middle of it. They might be out of it 6 years. But they remember the journey. They're happy to talk to you, and I'm sure they're more than happy to talk up their alma mater where they actually went to school. So also, for meds, I think each CAS system probably has this. I'm most familiar with these two, just because I did my research on them yesterday. But, so, the MSAR. How many are meds in here, and how many have looked at the MSAR? Have you gotten our login so you can actually get the information? We will give you that. We will give you that. So, let me pull it up here. So, where is it? There it is. So, oh, I did have it. All right, so this is kind of what it looks like. And like I say, each program has this to a certain extent. You can filter over here. So let's say we're going to filter those that accept out-of-state residents because that's important. You don't want to apply to a school that accept, in fact, I was looking at one with Casey yesterday. I think it was a school in Alabama. And they accepted, they had a class of 44 students, or 40 students, that's what it was, 40 students. And of that, 2 of them were from out of state. Do you want to apply there? Probably not.
So what's the good rule of thumb for that? As far as percentage?
Percentage?
Yeah.
You know what? Look into it. If it's a school you're really, really, really interested in,
Yeah.
call them and say, on average, how many out-of-state residents do you take?
Okay. And you can probably tell them your MCAT scores and stuff. Would they, not really?
I don't know. I don't know that that's really going to matter.
Yeah.
For a lot of the schools, it doesn't.
Okay.
They're looking, especially with, like, say, like Alabama, they're kind of like Utah. They're rural. You know, they got a lot of rural population, and they want students from their state that are going to come back and live in their state.
Makes sense.
They don't want you from Utah that's going to come and go to school, and then you're going to leave and you're going to go back to Utah.
Yeah. It's kind of like a lot of the California schools are like that. They don't
Yes.
accept a
I
lot
was
of
gonna say,
students. They want
caution.
they want
Caution on
you
the
to be
California
from
schools.
California. And then the other thing is there are a few schools down south that are African American only.
Right.
universities, don't apply those if you're not African American.
So look at that.
So, because we've had students do that, and they're like, oh no, I didn't get into that school, and it's like, okay, well, are you of African American descent? No, they're not going to accept you, sorry. Or they want only students of diverse backgrounds. There are schools that specifically only want that. You're not going to get in if you're not from a diverse background.
Okay, so let's say, I just randomly picked Baylor here. But on here it's telling you their median NCAP is 518. And their median GPA is the 3.93. Look at that tuition though. Holy moly. That looks fabulous, right?
So fabulous question.
Yeah.
If you think that you are a research-minded pre-medical applicant, how do you know if you really are? Because some of these are very research-focused. If you've done like internships, like how do we know if you would be competitive to apply to a school that is very research-focused?
Okay. That, unfortunately, is one of the things that SUU struggles with students.
Right.
We are not an R1 institution, therefore we do not do R1 research. Unless you've gone out
Right. But how much do
and
you
done
know?
summer research, you're probably not going to be a real strong candidate for those research schools. But again, make a phone call. When in doubt, don't rely on us. Make a phone call. But I'm not going to discourage you from applying to those schools. But you also need to be realistic. All right, we're going to kind of move this out of the way. There is also one for PA. I'm not going to bring that up. We're going to just kind of move forward. So, I've shown you those websites, or you've looked at the school website. So here's some things. Do you have all the prerequisites that they require? We were looking yesterday, Haley and I, at Duke, because she wants to go to Duke. And I'm like, okay. But also other schools. And, you know, sometimes there's some confusion. They give you a list of, for her, it was psychology classes that you need to have taken so many credits in these particular psychology. Well, the one she took isn't necessarily on the list. Okay? Again, what did I tell you, Haley? Call the school. See if that class works. If not, and you know you're going to apply to that school, make sure you take that class in the next year. Okay? So that all of your prerequisites are done. Don't waste your money applying to a school that you haven't completed all the prereqs, or you're not going to complete all the prereqs for. Do your homework on that. So, like they've set up here, med schools are mostly the same. PA schools vary. Okay, so do your research for each particular school. PAs, how many have we got in here? Have you looked at the PAEA website that gives you, okay. I can tell you more about that, and I'll make sure that you guys have the link to that. Because that's the same kind of thing like that MSAR gives you with the PA schools. So I found it. So you can look at all of those schools and it'll tell you those kind of things too. Give you the information on how to contact the schools. So again, in-state versus out-of-state schools, private schools. So examples of private schools would be like the Rocky Mountain in Utah, right? And an in-state school would be University of Utah. Okay, state-funded public university. So tuition's a lot different for those two schools. I happen to know that Roseman, for their nursing program, is $50,000 versus SUU's nursing program that's about, what did we figure? Less than $20,000. Okay, so you know that might be a factor for you. Look at it. Be aware. Be aware of what that's going to cost you to go. Right there. Except if they accept about 30% or more. That was your answer. They accept about 30% or more. Out of state, yeah. Then look at them. So look at the location. I think Google Maps is awesome whenever I'm gonna go visit somewhere, go on vacation, I will get on Google Maps, yep, and put my little body right there next to the hotel and turn around and look at my surroundings, because that's how I function. I was blessed with a father that taught me to pay attention. He used to tell us when we'd travel, pay attention because there's going to be a quiz, and we'd get somewhere and then he'd say, okay, now get us back to the hotel. So I always paid attention. So I love Google Maps. I do. I pick that little guy and I go all around the community and I check it out. Well, check out the school. You can look around the school. I mean, I guarantee Google Maps has driven around that campus. Check it out. What does it look like around that campus? Is it in the middle of a ghetto? Is it clear out? You know, it says it's in this city, but actually, it's about 20 miles outside of the city. You know, are you commuting? Is there housing around? What does it look like? If you can't make a campus visit, Google Map it. Check it out. Look at the community. Do your research on that community. You know, if you are a particular religion, you know, what does that look like there? What does that look like? You know, is there a Protestant church in that community? Or would I have to travel 45 minutes to worship on Sunday? Look at those things that matter to you. But look at the mission statement. If it says historically black institutions serving their state and focusing on service, do you want to apply there?
Yes.
Do you? Okay.
But the rest of them
They probably don't, huh? You're right. So, look at those things. Look at the mission statement. Does it go with your own values? Okay. Right. So does it align with you? Are they research? You know, are they more primary care? Do they like underserved populations, communities? That's my passion. I want to go work in South America and help people in those communities, because I went to Panama or the DR 3 times and I love that. I want to do that. Like, what is your passion? And do they align with that? Again, do they accept out of state? Is their education style a good fit for you? Are you a good online learner? Some schools are switching more to that. I know with RVU in Islands, because they are a sister campus with the Parker campus, they have a big room similar to this. Has anybody been down and toward RVU? A couple of you? It's a pretty cool school. You should take the opportunity, whether you're met or not. But they have a room very similar to this, and each desk is mediated so that there's a microphone. And a lot of times the lecturers are on screen. And you just push your button to comment or answer a question or ask a question, because the lecturer is actually not even on your campus. How do you do with that? You know, how do you do with that style of learning? Something to look at and look into. So, again, would you want to live in that location? Am I being realistic? Check out the academic data. Do you qualify for their minimums? Okay? And by I say, do you qualify for their minimums, that doesn't mean, you know, their minimum MCAT is a 500 and I got a 501, so yeah, I'm applying there. Yeah, you do fit their minimums, but again, Rita will tell you this too. You want to not be the minimum at the school, okay? Oops, I went backwards. How many schools to apply to? So, choose some of your dream schools. Okay? Duke, Yale, Stanford, like. Dream schools, right? Not unrealistic. Some of you are amazing candidates. A lot of you are amazing candidates. I'm like looking through this room, I'm like, I've talked with a lot of you. A lot of you are amazing candidates. You have to remember what you're competing with too, though. These East Coast students that have been groomed for this, right? From birth. Because they come from this long line of doctors and they've all gone to Duke. So, more likely that that student's going to get in than somebody who has no connection at all to Duke. Okay? So look at that. But yes, pick some dream schools. But the majority of your schools need to be middle ground, those that you definitely qualify for, and you're definitely interested in going there, okay? And then a few that you are way overqualified for, okay? Their MCAT's a 498, and I'm at a 510. Yep, I'm way overqualified for that, okay? Look at those kind of things. But we suggest 15 to 20 schools. I know that that sounds like a lot, but let's look at the big picture. You apply to 6 schools, you get interviews at 3, and you get no acceptances. Did you just waste a whole lot of money? Okay, so now you've applied to 15 schools, you get interviews at 8, and you get 3 acceptances or 2 acceptances. Did you waste your money? Nope, you're in school. Okay? So look at the broad spectrum. It's better to pay that fee, that additional little fee to apply to more schools now than to reapply next year. Because now you're out 1 year of your practice and all of that money that you spent only applying on 6 schools. Okay? That's why we tell you that. Do we have any podiatry in here? Nope. Okay. Or vet? So again, come ask questions. We're happy to help you research. We're happy to help you look. Rita's been doing this for 20 years. She knows a whole lot more than we do. Yeah?
So that slide, it says if you're applying to all 3, DOMD and Texas, do more than the 15 to 20?
No, not necessarily.
Okay, just evenly spread that out.
Just spread that out. Spread the wealth. Yep. Yeah, you all know about Texas schools, right? They have their own. They don't do the caste system. They have their own way of doing things. So, yep, that would be different and an additional cost. But if you're interested in those Texas schools, you qualify. Like one.
They have a single application that you can apply to. All of them are single.
They do have one?
Yeah, they have their own, it's their own contract, so
Right.
they have an application. And
Okay.
then you can apply to all of them, which is, I think for dental school, there's 3 schools for $120.
Cool. Good to know. All right, so again, this is kind of what we've already talked about. Make sure you meet the minimum requirements. So this was University of Utah's students that matriculated. Okay, so I don't know if we updated this or not.
Oh no, and it might be a little bit higher now because they did raise their MCAT score, what they want students to have.
Yeah,
So it might be a little bit higher, but
I think this is a little bit old because last I heard the average MCAT was a 514.
That's what it says on MSTOC.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
They're ranked number 40 in the country for medical school, so that's pretty impressive.
But if you look, how many students have we gotten into the University of Utah? More than 50.
A lot, yeah,
More than 50.
quite a few.
So we get them in there. Rita has good connections there. But you need to be competitive. Like, you need to fit their mold.
Especially now that they raised their MCAT score, it's an even more competitive program to get into, so keep that in mind.
But if you've come from a rural community, it's what they're looking for.
Mhm.
They've just gotten some grants that are requiring them to admit more of a rural population. Okay. Oh, these are early decision programs.
Yeah, the University of Utah is the only one I think that, because there's EAP with Rocky Vista, but the
Right.
early decision is the University of Utah.
Right, so do you all understand what the early decision program is? I know some of you have talked to Reed about it, whether or not you're actually a good candidate for it. If you are an amazing candidate and fit that mold of University of Utah, absolutely apply early decision, but that means that's the only school you get to apply for. Okay? But you do get that early decision, so you know by September
I think she said October. I think yesterday she said October you can apply.
whether
to
or not
schools.
you're accepted into that program versus Catherine who got her acceptance last month. Okay? So if you don't get into the program, then you can go about applying for other schools. After that, you can go in and apply. The con to that is now you're late applying to those other schools. Okay? A lot of schools have rolling admission. And what rolling admission means, and you probably talked about this on Monday a little bit, is that they start looking, your CAF system opens, for some of you, opens, it's already open. Opened the end of April, beginning of May. And so you can get all your information in there and you can actually submit. But schools don't actually see that information until June, until the middle of June. That's when they actually get the applications and they'll start looking at them. So if you are one of those earlier ones, chances are you're going to look really good and you're going to start getting interviews versus that person that doesn't hit submit until September. Did Rita talk about that already? We've had that in the last couple of years. Some students who waited, they didn't hit submit until September. And they were freaked out when I haven't heard from any schools. I haven't even gotten any interviews. Probably should apply earlier. When we say, be one of those first to hit submit, we mean it. That's why we do this. So you guys are ready. You guys are ready. All right. Let's kind of skip over these. Can I add schools later? Yes. And like she says, we actually encourage it. Up until the date that the CAS closes, which I believe is in October, depending on the school, you can keep adding. So if you've applied, if you're one of those that decides I'm gonna start with these 6, and if I don't get anything, I'll do more later. Yeah.
If you are doing more service and things, is that the kind of thing that you need to wait until the secondary to update the school on, or are you able to go into the application and add more service hours once you submit the primary?
You know, I don't know if you can add, I don't think you can change your experiences.
Okay.
I think you can only change your grades. I
Right.
think you can only update your grades. I don't think you can change your experiences and say, oh, hey, I just did this. It was really cool. I think that's something that, yes, you would wait for your secondary. So, so that's what she's kind of saying, if you're going to bolster your application. But it's also saying, consider that the cost might go up. So if you've done your research and you're ready, apply to schools at the beginning. Check on accreditations. So some of them are provisionally accredited. If they're a new school, it doesn't mean that they're not going to get accredited, but you do take that risk if you go to one of these new schools that has not yet graduated a class and is not accredited. Okay? Versus fully accredited. Like RVU. RVU is fully accredited when they opened because they are associated with the Parker campus in Colorado. They didn't have to go through that whole process. But like Southwest Tech, across the road with their new LPN nursing program, they're in the process of getting accredited. Because they are just graduating their first class. Yeah.
So is that how it works, is once they graduate the first class, then it can be accredited? Okay.
Yeah, they have
So
to
for
graduate a class.
So for like a girls' school in New Mexico, I don't know how many classes they've had this far, I know it's at least 2 at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is older, so I would bet, Idaho, the ICOM, I don't think they've
I
they're
don't
accredited
think they
yet
have
either, I
either.
think.
I think they've only had a year.
I think they've only had a year, so look into that. So the U of U PA program that's at Dixie, again, they're accredited, but what's she got in here? We'll be on CASPA, but only the main campus. Just indicate you're interested in St. George. So if you're interested in going to the PA program at Dixie, that's how you go about doing that. Okay. I don't know enough about Caribbean schools other than I don't want to say we discourage you from applying to Caribbean schools, but we don't encourage. Right, Rita?
Well, it's a backup plan.
Yes,
And
that's what I say, we
it
don't
needs to be.
discourage.
Yep.
So do you want to tell them about Caribbean schools?
Oh, we
I don't
talked
know.
about it earlier. They do have like a 30% failure rate. 30% of students that end up going don't finish. So caution, caution, caution. And they take pretty much anything that breathes.
Yeah.
Well, we were at WHP, I actually spoke to one of the women who was from a school in California, a pretty prestigious school, and she was saying that she would never encourage a student to go to a Caribbean school because a lot of times they don't match with residencies. Just something to think about. It's not really something at least talking to a few people at that conference, I wouldn't ever encourage a student.
If you
to
do, if you are considering Caribbean, come chat. We'll talk about the top 3 that will give you federally subsidized loans. Otherwise, you have to take out private loans. Ross's, St. George, and American typically are really are decent. You can get subsidized loans there. They have pretty good placement rates. I have a student in Las Vegas right now, 3 years, who's tried to match after paying for a Caribbean med school. He can't match. Painful. Got 4 kids, and 4 years worth of med school tuition, and can't match.
Caution.
Caution.
All right. Do we want to move on to secondaries? I mean, that was the
Did you do
first
secondaries
question.
this morning?
Did you do
Talked a little bit
secondaries
about, anybody have questions about secondaries? We're good? Okay.
already? We're good? Okay. Awesome.
Great.
All right, what was next?
That's it.
That's it?
For
That's
today.
it for the day? Oh, it is. It's 10 o'clock. Look at that.
That's it for today.
We're zipping through this.
We
I
are.
know.
We are. All right. So stick around if you want help with your experiences, if you have questions, if you're putting information in your task and you've got questions, stick around. We're here to help. We're here till 5. One thing. Tomorrow, there will be no breakfast, or Friday. Sorry, we provided breakfast for 3 days. You're on the next 2.
Oh!
Also, tomorrow afternoon, the RHS staff,
Oh, even less than that.
we have meetings all afternoon.
Oh.
So the space is open, and we actually have the computer lab too over in the ELC. You are welcome to stay here, you're welcome to go over in the ELC and work. Just know, staff members will not be here tomorrow. We will be here on Friday. And we will be here today until 5.